The silver ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their smooth hulls reflecting the sunlight in blinding flashes. The harmonies, light and purity's promise hovered over major cities. Their presence announced not with warning shots, but with soft chimes and holographic proclamations. The Galactic Child Welfare Consortium had arrived. Liam Carter pressed his face against the grimy window of the orphanage, his breath fogging up the glass. The other kids crowded behind him, whispering in hushed excitement. "They're aliens?" one of the younger boys gasped. Liam didn't answer. He was 12, old enough to know that when strange ships showed up unannounced, it was never good news. Outside, the Zixari emerged. Tall, slender figures in flowing silver robes, their porcelain skin glowing faintly under the Earth's sun. Their cranial ridges pulsed with soft blue light as they moved, their forearms gesturing gracefully. They looked like angels, but angels didn't come with armed escorts. A broadcast echoed through every screen in the building, the Zixari's melodic voices speaking in perfect, unaccented English. "Children of Earth, you have been raised in conditions deemed unacceptable by galactic standards. We are here to offer you a better future." Liam's stomach twisted. He'd seen enough movies to know what better future usually meant. The doors burst open. Zixari social workers glided in, their expressions serene, their movements precise. One of them, taller than the rest, with a ridge that pulsed faster when it spoke, extended a hand toward the huddled children. "Come, you will be taken to Eden. Faye, a world of peace, a world without suffering." Liam didn't move. Neither did Darius. Kowalski, 14, and already built like a linebacker, stood with his arms crossed. His foster parents had called him Trouble. The Zixari would learn why. "We ain't going nowhere," he growled. The Zixari didn't react to the defiance. They never did. One of them simply raised a slender device, a small silver orb, and pressed it against Dare's neck. The boy's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed. Liam lunged forward, but it was too late. Hands grabbed him, cold and unyielding, a prick at his neck. The world spun. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Mira Patel, tiny and fierce, kicking a Zixari in the shin before she too was subdued. Liam woke up strapped to a bed. The room was blindingly white, the walls smooth and featureless. No windows, no doors that he could see. His head pounded, his mouth dry. He yanked at the restraints, but they didn't budge. A hologram flickered to life above him, a Zixari face, serene and smiling. "Welcome to Eden. Faye, you are now part of the GCWC's Civilizing Initiative. Your aggression will be purged, your minds will be enlightened." Liam bared his teeth. "Let me go." The hologram didn't react. "You will learn peace. You will forget violence." The restraints released with a quiet hiss. Liam sat up, rubbing his wrists. The wall in front of him shimmered, then dissolved, revealing a hallway. At the end of it, a common room. He stepped out cautiously. The room was filled with kids, hundreds of them, some as young as 5, others closer to his age. They sat on soft, colorless cushions, their eyes dull, their movements sluggish. A few Zixari moved among them, adjusting glowing bands around their wrists. Then he spotted Dare. The older boy was slumped against a wall, his usual scowl replaced by a vacant stare. A band pulsed softly on his wrist. Liam grabbed his arm. "Dare, snap out of it." Dare blinked slowly. "There, helping us." Liam's blood ran cold. A small hand tugged at his sleeve. He looked down. Mira Patel stared up at him, her dark eyes sharp. The band on her wrist was cracked, the light inside flickering. "They're brainwashing us," she whispered. Liam's jaw tightened. He glanced at the Zixari, their backs turned, their attention on the docile children. Then he leaned down, his voice low. "We're getting out of here." Mira nodded. Dare's fingers twitched, Somewhere deep in the facility, an alarm blared. The Zixari turned as one, their cranial ridges flashing red. Liam grinned, game on. The white walls of the Eden, Fey Youth Enlightenment Facility, glowed with a soft, sterile light. Liam Carter pressed his palm against one, expecting it to feel cold. Instead, it pulsed faintly, warm, like a living thing. He pulled his hand back, wiping it on his grey jumpsuit. "Don't touch the walls," whispered Mira Patel beside him. Her dark eyes darted to the ceiling where small floating orbs hovered, surveillance drones shaped like perfect silver spheres. "They don't like it when we touch things." A chime echoed through the hallway. The children of Batch face straightened as a Zixari social worker glided toward them, taller than any human adult. Its forearms moved in perfect synchronization, the blue ridges along its skull pulsing gently. Its silver robes shimmered like liquid metal. "Morning recalibration," it intoned, voice smooth and emotionless. "Form orderly lines for cognitive realignment." Liam clenched his fists but said nothing. 3 weeks. 3 weeks since the silver ships had descended on Earth, since the consortium had declared human children uncivilized and ripped them from their homes. 3 weeks of this, the children lined up. The Zixari designation K-Fey, they called it, floated a scanner over each of them. The device hummed, emitting a soft blue light. When it reached Darius Dare Kowalski at the end of the line, the scanner beeped sharply. "Elevated aggression markers," K-Fey announced. "You will report to the reflection chamber after morning nourishment." Dare smirked. Yeah, time, out for being human." The Zixari's cranial ridges flickered red for a fraction of a second before returning to blue. "Violence is not the way of enlightenment, you will learn." The children were herded into the nourishment hall, a vast white room with no tables, no chairs. Nutrient dispensers lined the walls, spitting out bland, gelatinous cubes. Liam caught Mira's eye as they stood in their designated circles, the floor glowing faintly beneath their feet. "Eat slowly," she murmured. "They monitor how fast we chew." Liam nodded, forcing himself to take small, measured bites. Around them, other batches of children stood in silence. Some were younger, 6, 7 years old, their eyes wide and confused. Others, like Dare, were older, their jaws set in defiance. After nourishment came the lessons. The children were led to the learning sphere, a domed room where holograms flickered to life above them. A Zixari instructor, designation V, Fey materialized in the center, its 4 arms spread in a gesture of peace. "Today, we continue our study of conflict resolution," Fey said. A hologram of 2 alien figures appeared, arguing over a glowing orb. "Observe how the enlightened beings communicate without raised voices or physicality." Liam rolled his eyes. On Earth, he'd seen kids settle arguments with fists more times than he could count. Sometimes words weren't enough. "Now," Fey continued, "you will practice pair with your batchmate and demonstrate peaceful resolution." Liam turned to Mira. She gave him a tiny, knowing grin. "I don't like your face," Liam said loudly, crossing his arms. Mira gasped dramatically. "How dare you? My face is perfectly acceptable." Fey's cranial ridges pulsed yellow confusion. "This is not the way. You must speak calmly. Use I feel statements." "I feel like your face is stupid," Liam said. Mira clutched her chest. "I feel attacked." A ripple of laughter spread through the other children. Fey's ridges flickered red again. "Cease this immediately. Violence, even in jest, is not permitted." The lesson dissolved into chaos as other batches started mimicking them, shouting exaggerated insults while maintaining deadpan expressions. The Zixari drones buzzed overhead, their scanners whirring as they tried to make sense of the human behavior. When the session ended, the children were marched to the recreation chamber, a vast empty room with soft floors and no equipment. "No running," K-Fey instructed. "No physical games. Quiet reflection only." Liam sat with his back against the wall, watching as the younger kids shuffled listlessly. Dare dropped beside him, his voice a low growl. "This is torture." Mira nodded, They're trying to break us, make us forget who we are. Liam's fingers traced the edge of his jumpsuit pocket, where he'd hidden a small, sharpened piece of plastic, a shard from a broken nutrient tray. He'd found it 2 days ago and kept it hidden just in case. "We need to fight back," he whispered. Dare's eyes gleamed. "I'm listening." That night, after lights out, the three of them met in the sanitation chamber, the only place without surveillance. The room hummed with the sound of recycling filters masking their voices. "We need a plan," Liam said. "They think we're weak. We show them we're not." Mira pulled a small stolen maintenance tool from her sleeve, a thin, glowing rod used for repairing drones. "I've been studying their tech. Their systems are advanced, but they're predictable. No imagination." Dare grinned. "So we hit them where it hurts." Liam nodded. "We teach the others. Train them, not just to survive, to fight back." The next day, during recreation time, Liam started a game, a simple one. At first, he drew a circle on the floor with his finger, whispering to the younger kids. "This is Earth," he said, "and these are the Zixari." He placed small pebbles around the circle. "What do we do when someone tries to take our home?" A small boy, maybe 7 years old, frowned. "We stop them." Liam smiled. "Exactly." And so, under the noses of their oblivious captors, the children of Batch Fei began their real education. They practiced stealth, passing notes hidden in their nutrient cubes. They learned to read the Zixari's cranial ridges, blue for calm, red for anger, yellow for confusion, and most importantly, they remembered. They remembered Earth, they remembered home, and they vowed, silently, to return. Mira Patel sat perfectly still in the white-walled classroom, her fingers digging into the smooth surface of her desk. The holographic projection above them showed a Zixari elder speaking about the virtues of non-violence in soothing tones. Around her, the other human children fidgeted, their eyes darting between the projection and the 4 armed social workers monitoring them. "Today's lesson," said Elder Vixel, their cranial ridges pulsing a serene blue, "is on the dangers of physical confrontation. On Eden, Faye, we resolve conflicts with words, not fists." Mira clenched her jaw. 3 weeks in this sterile nightmare, and she was done pretending. She missed Earth, missed the chaos of the foster home, the shouting, the laughter, the way the other kids had fought over the last cookie, like it was a battle for survival. Here, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Next to her, Liam Carter nudged her foot under the desk. His dark eyes flicked toward the door, then back to her. A silent question. Mira gave the tiniest shake of her head. Not yet. The hologram shifted to show a Zixari child calmly discussing a dispute over a toy. Mira rolled her eyes. "Pathetic," Dare muttered under his breath from the row behind her. "Back home, we'd have settled that in 5 seconds. One of the social workers, a tall Zixari named Yilix, turned sharply. "Darius Kowalski, was that an aggressive remark?" Dare leaned back in his chair, grinning. "Nah. Just an observation." Yilix's cranial ridges flickered orange, displeasure. "Aggressive observations lead to aggressive actions. You will report to the reflection chamber after this lesson." Mira's stomach twisted. The reflection chamber was a small white room where they forced you to sit for hours, repeating pacifist mantras until you calmed your spirit. Dare had been in there 3 times already. Liam's fingers tapped against his thigh in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Morse code tonight. Food hall. Mira exhaled. Good. The meal hall was the only place the Zixari let them gather in large groups, though they still enforced calm discourse and proper nourishment rituals. The kids sat at long tables, eating bland nutrient paste from identical white bowls. Mira slid into her seat beside Liam, her bowl untouched. "They took my locket," she whispered. Liam's spoon paused halfway to his mouth. "The one with your mum's picture." Mira nodded, her throat tight. Yilix said it was an unhealthy attachment to violent origins. Across the table, Dare slammed his fist down. The sound echoed through the hall, and half the kids flinched. A few Zixari turned. their ridges pulsing warning yellow. "Quiet," Liam hissed. Dare leaned in, his voice a furious whisper. "We've been taking their crap for weeks. When do we fight back?" Liam's eyes darted to the nearest surveillance orb floating near the ceiling. "Not here, wait for the signal." Mira clenched her fists under the table. She was done waiting. The signal came 2 hours later during hygiene cycle. The kids were lined up outside the sanitization chambers, waiting their turn. When Liam coughed 3 times in quick succession, Mira didn't hesitate. She lunged for the nearest Zixari attendant, a young social worker named Nilis, and yanked the access chip from their belt. Nilis gasped, their ridges flashing red. "Mira Patel, aggression is." Mira punched them square in the face. The effect was instant. Nilis staggered back, their porcelain, like skin cracking where Mira's fist had connected. The other Zixari froze, their ridges flickering in shock. Human children weren't supposed to hit back. Chaos erupted. Their body slammed another attendant into the wall. Liam snatched a second access chip and tossed it to a group of older kids near the door. "Go, now." The kids scattered, sprinting down the hallways in coordinated groups. Mira dodged a grasping Zixari arm and bolted for the nutrient dispensary. Inside, the machines hummed softly, rows of gleaming dispensers ready to produce the next batch of tasteless slop. Mira jammed Nilis' chip into the nearest control panel. "Override code," she muttered, typing furiously. The Zixari systems were stupidly simple, no real security because who would sabotage a food dispenser? The screen blinked red warning, overload imminent. Mira grinned and slammed the execute command. Alarms blared as the dispensers shuddered, their internal processors frying under the sudden surge of power. One by one, they exploded in showers of sparks and steaming nutrient paste. A Zixari voice boomed over the intercom. "All children return to your quarters immediately. This is a violation of..." The speaker cut out as the power grid failed, plunging the facility into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting eerie blue shadows. Mira sprinted back into the hallway, where Liam and Dare were rallying the others. "Phase 1 complete," Liam said, breathing hard. "Now we hit the comms array." Dare cracked his knuckles. About time. The kids moved like a swarm, silent and deadly. They'd spent weeks memorizing patrol routes, blind spots, weak points. The Zixari had thought they were taming them. They were wrong. By the time the Zixari peacekeepers arrived, the facility was in shambles. Nutrient paste flooded the halls, fire suppression systems sprayed foam into the air like artificial snow, and the children, every last one of them, were gone. Elder Vixel stared at the wreckage, their ridges pulsing frantic purple. This is impossible. They're just children." A junior social worker trembled beside them. "Human children?" Somewhere in the darkness, Mira Patel smiled. This was just the beginning. The alarms blared through the sterile white halls of the GCWC facility, their shrill tones bouncing off the smooth walls. The Zixari social workers fluttered about in panic, their forearms waving in distress as holographic warnings flashed above their glowing cranial ridges. Liam crouched behind a maintenance panel, his fingers flying over the stolen access pad. The screen flickered with alien glyphs before flashing green. "Got it," he whispered. The door to Sublevel 9 hissed open, revealing a dimly lit corridor lined with pipes. Mira peeked over his shoulder, her dark eyes scanning the shadows. "You sure this leads to the hangar?" "Positive," Liam said. "Dare's last transmission said they keep the shuttles down here." Behind them, 23 other children waited in tense silence. Some were as young as 6, their faces smudged with dirt from crawling through ventilation shafts. Others, like Darius, Dare Kowalski, stood with their shoulders squared, fists clenched. Dare cracked his knuckles. "If we're doing this, we do it fast. They'll lock the whole place down soon." Liam nodded. "Move quiet, stick together. If we get separated, meet at the big red pipe near the hangar entrance." They slipped into the corridor, their bare feet silent against the cool metal floor. The facility was designed to be peaceful. No sharp edges, no shadows, no places to hide. But the Zixari had never accounted for human ingenuity. A sudden clatter made them freeze. Two Zixari rounded the corner, their silver robes swishing as they spoke in hushed, melodic tones. Mira grabbed Liam's arm, her grip tight. Dare didn't hesitate. He snatched a loose pipe from the wall and hurled it down the opposite hallway. The metal clanged against the floor, echoing loudly. The Zixari turned, their cranial ridges pulsing with alarm. Intruders in Sector 12. One called, darting toward the noise. Liam exhaled sharply. Nice thinking. Dare smirked. Told you I'd be useful. They reached the hangar doors 10 minutes later, their hearts pounding. The massive entrance was sealed, a glowing red barrier humming with energy. Mira groaned. Liam studied the control panel, his brow furrowed. We need a code or a distraction. Dare cracked his neck. I've got both. Before anyone could stop him, he sprinted toward a nearby maintenance drone, yanking its power core free. Sparks flew as the machine sputtered and died. Alarms wailed. The hangar doors shuddered, the force field flickering. Now, Liam shouted. They bolted through the weakening barrier, the energy licking at their skin like static. The hangar beyond was vast, filled with sleek silver shuttles and hovering maintenance bots. Mira pointed. That one, the big one at the end. The shuttle was larger than the others, its hull scuffed from years of use. Its ramp was down, as if waiting for them. They scrambled inside, the metal floor vibrating beneath their feet as the engines hummed to life. Liam slid into the pilot's seat, his fingers dancing over the unfamiliar controls. Dare leaned over his shoulder. You know how to fly this thing? Liam swallowed. I played a lot of flight sims back home. The console lit up, holographic displays flickering to life. Alien symbols flashed, warning messages, system checks. Mira shoved past them, her small hands flying over a secondary panel. I've got this. She ripped open an access port, yanking wires free. I've got a lockdown protocol. We need to bypass it. Dare handed her a paperclip from his pocket. Will this help? Mira grinned. Oh, you beautiful genius. She twisted the metal, jamming it into the circuitry. The shuttle shuddered, then roared as the engines flared to full power. The hangar doors ahead began to close, massive slabs of metal grinding together. Liam gripped the controls. Hold on. The shuttle shot forward, scraping through the narrowing gap with a screech of metal. Then they were free, bursting into the open void of space. Behind them, the GCWC facility loomed, its smooth white surface marred by flashing red lights. 3 Zixari pursuit ships detached from docking bays, their sleek forms glinting in the starlight. Mira cursed. They're coming. Liam's hands tightened on the controls. Then let's give them a chase. He banked hard, the shuttle lurching as it dodged the first volley of energy fire. The pursuit ships were faster, their weapons locked on. Dare slid into the co-pilot's seat, his eyes locked on the scanner. There's a gas giant nearby. If we slingshot around it, gravity well could rip us apart. Liam finished. Dare grinned. Yeah, but it'll rip them apart first. Liam didn't hesitate. He punched the thrusters, sending the shuttle hurtling toward the swirling mass of the planet. The gas giant filled the viewport, its storms raging in violent hues of orange and red. The Zixari ships followed, their pilots confident. No sane species would attempt such a maneuver. But humans weren't sane. The shuttle screamed as it skimmed the upper atmosphere, the gravitational pull wrenching at its frame. Alarms blared. Warning lights flashed. Mira clung to her seat. We're losing hull integrity. Liam gritted his teeth. Almost there. At the last possible second, he pulled up, the shuttle groaning as it fought free of the planet's grip. Behind them, the Zixari ships weren't so lucky. One spiraled out of control, vanishing into the storm. The other 2 veered away, their engines straining. Dare whooped. They're breaking off. Liam didn't relax. We're not safe yet. He checked the nav charts. There's a moon nearby. We can land there, regroup. The shuttle limped toward the barren rock, its engines sputtering. As they descended, something massive loomed in the shadows, a jagged silhouette against the stars. Mira's breath caught. What is that? Dare leaned forward, his eyes widening. That, my friends, is our ticket home. The derelict warship lay half, buried in the moon's surface, its rusted hull covered in ancient glyphs. Broken turrets pointed toward the sky like skeletal fingers. Liam let out a slow breath. The Zixari think they've won. They think we're just kids. He turned to the others, his voice steady. Let's show them how wrong they are. The shuttle's alarm screamed as atmosphere vented through a dozen breaches. Dare wrestled with the controls, his knuckles white. We're coming in too hot, Mira shouted over the klaxons. Not my fault, Dare shot back. Their plasma cannons took out our stabilizers. Liam braced against the bulkhead, watching Eden. Phase Moon fill the viewport. Just get us down in one piece. The shuttle skidded across the lunar surface, carving a trench through the grey dust. When it finally lurched to a stop, the kids piled out, coughing in the thin air. Mira tapped her wrist, comm, a scavenged alien device she'd reprogrammed. Atmosphere is breathable, but barely. Gravity's about 2/3 Earth normal. Dare kicked the wrecked shuttle. So much for our ride home. Liam scanned the horizon, his breath fogged in the cold air. We need shelter and weapons. That is when Mira saw it. A shadow against the stars, a jagged silhouette rising from the moon's surface, like the skeleton of some long-dead beast. Geese, she whispered. They turned, the derelict stretched for kilometers, a graveyard of warships, their hulls pitted by centuries of micrometeorites. Some were little more than twisted frames. Others looked almost intact. Dare whistled. That is a Vorak class. My dad had models of those. Mira was already moving, her boots kicking up dust. If we can get one operational, we could blow their smug faces off. Dare finished. Liam hesitated. We're kids, not soldiers. Mira turned, her eyes hard. They made us soldiers when they took us. The interior of the nearest dreadnought was a maze of frozen corridors. Emergency lights flickered, casting long shadows. Alien glyphs glowed faintly on the walls, warning signs in a language none of them could read. Mira traced a claw mark gouged into the bulkhead. Something lived here. Dare hefted a broken pipe, hopefully not anymore. They found the bridge buried deep in the ship's heart. The captain's chair was empty, the consoles dark. Mira wiped dust from a main display. Power's dead, but the reactors might still have juice. Liam frowned. Even if we get it running, we don't know how to fly this thing. Dare slid into the pilot's seat, spinning in a slow circle. How hard can it be? Mira was already elbow, deep in an access panel. Hand me those tools, and someone find me conductive wire. For hours, they worked. Mira rerouted. Power conduits, her fingers flying. Dare deciphered the alien controls through trial and error. Liam organized the others into scavenger teams, stripping parts from nearby wrecks. Then, lights. The bridge hummed to life. Consoles flickered. The main viewer crackled with static. Mira whooped. We did it. The ship groaned around them. Metal screeched as ancient systems strained back to life. A deep thrumming built in the decks below, the reactors waking from their long sleep. Dare gripped the controls. Guys, I think we just turned on a warship. Liam stared at the tactical display now. Blooming across the main screen, dozens of red dots, Zixari ships, orbiting Eden Faye. I'll see this. Mira grinned. Let them. Alarms blared as the dreadnought's weapons systems initialized. Targeting arrays lit up. Mira watched the power levels climb. Plasma cannons at Faye, shields holding at Faye. Not great, but enough. Liam said. The comm crackled, a Zixari voice, tight with panic. Unidentified vessel, you are in violation of galactic child welfare statutes. Power down immediately. Dare leaned into the mic. Make us. Liam activated the ship-wide intercom. His voice echoed through the corridors where dozens of human kids waited. They took us because they thought we were weak. Let's show them what weak looks like. The engines roared. The Iron Vengeance rose from its grave. Rusted plating shook loose as the dreadnought climbed. The Zixari fleet scrambled, their sleek silver ships wheeling to intercept. Dare whooped as the first plasma volley streaked past. They're shooting at us. Mira slapped a console. Shields just took a hit. We need more power. Liam gripped the back of Dare's chair. Can we fight back? Mira's fingers danced across the weapons console. Oh yeah, the Vorak-class dreadnought's main batteries fired for the first time in centuries. A lance of blue plasma tore through a Zixari frigate, splitting it in half. Secondary explosions rippled down its length. Dare banked hard, dodging return fire. This thing handles like a brick. Then stop flying it like a fighter, Mira shouted. Another frigate exploded. The Zixari ships fell back, regrouping. Liam watched the tactical display. They're calling for reinforcements. Mira checked the power levels. We've got maybe 20 minutes before the reactors overload. Dare grinned. Then let's make them count. The Iron Vengeance plowed into the Zixari formation. Its rusted hull absorbed hits that would have crippled a modern ship. Plasma cannons fired in wild arcs, forcing the aliens into evasive maneuvers. Mira whooped as another ship vanished from the scanner. That is 3. Liam gripped the comm. Zixari fleet, this is Liam Carter of the Earthship Iron Vengeance. Stand down, or we'll glass your capital. Silence. A new voice, elderly, shaking. This is High Caretaker Vix of the GCWC. You are children. Dare keyed the mic, and you're about to be scrap metal. Another pause, then softer. We surrender. The bridge erupted in cheers. Kids hugged, danced, cried. Mira slumped into a chair, exhausted. We actually did it. Liam watched Eden, fame grow on the view screen. No, we're just getting started. The comm crackled again. Not Zixari. A new signal. Stronger. A human voice. Iron Vengeance. This is Earth Defense Command. We're reading your position. Hold tight, kids. Cavalry's coming. Dare laughed. Took you long enough. Outside, the stars burned cold and bright. The derelict warship, brought back to life by human hands, hung victorious against the black. Somewhere below, an entire alien civilization trembled. And above it all, the children of Earth stood unbowed. The Iron Vengeance rumbled to life beneath their feet, its ancient engines groaning like a waking beast. Rust flaked off the control panels as Mira's fingers danced across the alien glyphs, her brow furrowed in concentration. We've got power to the thrusters, she announced, but the plasma cannons are at Faye. Dare slammed his fist against a flickering console. That's enough to make them sweat. Outside the viewport, the blue-green curve of Eden, Faye loomed. The Zixari peacekeeping fleet, a dozen sleek silver ships, had already broken orbit, their weapons charging. Liam gripped the back of Mira's chair. They're coming, the comm crackled. Unidentified vessel, a Zixari voice intoned smooth and condescending. You are in violation of Galactic Child Welfare Protocol. Power down immediately. Mira snorted. Yeah, no. Dare took the pilot's seat, his hands gripping the controls. The Iron Vengeance wasn't built for human hands, but he didn't care. Strap in, he said. This is gonna get rough. The first plasma volley streaked past the view screen. The Zixari ships moved in perfect formation, their tactics textbook. Predictable. Dare grinned. They fly like they've got sticks up their language, Liam muttered. But he was grinning too. Dare yanked the controls hard left. The Iron Vengeance lurched, its aged frame groaning in protest. The Zixari ships overshot, their targeting systems scrambling to adjust. They're not used to someone who flies like they've got nothing to lose, Dare crowed. Mira's fingers flew over the weapons console. Cannons online, light him up. The Iron Vengeance's plasma cannons roared to life, spearing through the lead Zixari ship's engines. It spun out of control, trailing smoke. The comm erupted with panicked alien chatter. Liam leaned over Mira's shoulder. Can we get a lock on their command ship? Working on it. Her teeth clenched as she rerouted power. Their shields are strong, but if we hit them here, she tapped a flashing glyph. Right in the reactor housing, they'll go down. Another volley rocked the Iron Vengeance. Alarms blared. Shields at Faye, someone shouted. Dare cursed, flipping the ship into a barrel roll. We need to buy time. Liam grabbed the comm. All hands brace for evasive. He switched to the internal channel. Mira, give me something, she exhaled sharply. Got it. Targeting solution locked. Fire! The Iron Vengeance shuddered as its cannons unleashed a concentrated blast. The Zixari command ship's shields flickered, then failed. The explosion lit up the view screen, casting the kids' faces in orange light. Silence. Then cheering erupted through the ship. The remaining Zixari ships faltered, their formation breaking. They're retreating. Dare whooped. Liam didn't relax. Not for long. They'll regroup. He turned to Mira. Can we get a transmission to Eden? She nodded, patching into the planet's comm grid. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the Zixari High Council, their glowing cranial ridges pulsing with agitation. You have committed an act of war, the lead counselor hissed. Liam stepped forward, his voice steady. No, you did. When you took us from our home, when you tried to erase who we are. He crossed his arms. We're giving you one chance, surrender. The counselor's ridges flared crimson. You are children, and we're kicking your asses, Dare muttered. Mira elbowed him, but her smirk gave her away. Liam continued. Release every human you've taken, acknowledge Earth's sovereignty, or we glass your capital. The counselors exchanged glances. One leaned forward. You wouldn't dare. Dare's hand hovered over the weapons console. Try us. A tense silence stretched. Then finally the lead counselor sagged. Very well, terms accepted. The kids erupted into cheers again, but Liam held up a hand. One more thing. He locked eyes with the counselor. You broadcast this to the whole galaxy. Let everyone know what happens when you mess with human kids. The Zixaris ridges dimmed to a defeated blue. It will be done. As the transmission cut, Dare spun in his chair. We won. Mira slumped back, exhaustion hitting her all at once. Yeah, we did. Liam looked at the view screen, at the retreating Zixari fleet, at the planet below. This is just the beginning, he said softly. The Iron Vengeance hung in orbit, a rusted titan reborn. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered what it meant to fear humanity.